Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Saturday brunch. Just gonna do a little chop it up, a little talk about, a few things, COVID, uh, you know. So just hang on out there. I'll wait a few more minutes for folks to come on in, and then we'll start. Let's see. Let's start off with this particular topic here this morning. Well, folks, as you all know, we are in sort of a semi-state of lockdown, but people are getting restless, so much so that they decided to storm the Capitol. Let us go. Set us free. We need to be out of here. We need our lives back. We're broke. We can't do this. We can't do that. So the best thing we can do is grab up our guns. Bunch of white folks grab up our guns, storm the Capitol, and demand that you guys lift the stay-at-home orders. That is absolutely crazy. Now, let's think about that for a minute, folks. Bunch of white folks, armed militia, jumps in to the Capitol building, and no one died. Now, I don't know if you've all seen the movie the movies consider talking about the Black Panthers and different things like that. Bobby Seals and a few of the other Black Panthers. You saw what happened to them. Now, I understand that was in the 60s, but if we want to bring it up a little bit closer, and we want to bring it closer to home in years wise, we can talk about Philando Castile and how he, let's see, yep, how he was gunned down by a policeman in front of his family for carrying. Well, at this point in time, he was had his weapon in his glove box. When he reached to go get his weapon, after he informed the officer, "Look, I have a weapon in this car," the officer opened fires on him. Pa-pow, 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 right in front of his wife and children. But here it is, 2020, amongst the COVID, over 60,000 people have lost their lives. People think it's so important for them to get out and go back to a state of normalcy. There's no such thing as normalcy. The normal that we knew back in February and in early March, that life is over with for everyone in this world. I'm sure it's the same thing as the plague of 1918, the flu of the swine flu, the bird flu or whatever. It didn't affect us as this COVID-19 has. It wasn't stay-at-home orders. Folks weren't saying you got to go in the house, hang yourself in the house. To save your own life, to save the life of your family, we just need you to do a few things. Come on in, sit down, relax, sit with your family. We're not telling you can't go out. We're not telling you that you can't go somewhere. What we're saying is limit your movements. If you have to go to the grocery store, go. If you have to go somewhere and of some level of importance, go. But just to want to say, I want to go outside to do nothing, that is absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. And I don't care who says. Now, I'm going to pull this clip up. I know you folks can't see it, but you can hear it. I'm going to pull this clip up of these guys walking into the Capitol. Armed guns. Here's the reporter.
Speaking of Michigan, yesterday, hundreds of people, as Joe said, protested outside the state capitol building in Lansing, calling for an end to the state's extended stay-at-home order. Dozens of demonstrators chanting, "Let us in," managed to push inside the state capitol. Several protesters even tried to reach the House floor, where lawmakers were debating an extension of Governor Gretchen Whitmer's state of emergency. Many of them were armed. A state police spokesman told NBC News it is legal in Michigan to carry firearms as long as it is done with lawful intent and the weapon is visible. Local Senator Dana Polhanke was there and tweeted this photograph praising the sergeants at arms who were blocking protesters from getting in. Lawmakers have decided not to extend the state of emergency for 28 days, which removes the ability for Governor Whitmer to use her emergency powers to use executive orders during a crisis. Reverend Sharpton, stunning images out of the state of Michigan. We should say again what we've been saying for a couple of weeks, that this is a very small group of protesters. Most gun owners I talked to yesterday, most gun owners on social media said they would never carry an AR-15 and try to break in to the legislature in their state capital. But there you have it. Those are the protesters who Donald Trump once said, let's liberate the state.
Nor have we heard the president denounce these armed protesters and hear the real outrage of people armed going to the state capitol to confront legislators. First of all, we're talking about the preserving of life. These governors that have had a stay-home order are doing it for our health. We're not talking about them doing something punitive. They're doing something that would be preventive of people getting very sick or, in fact, facing death, because we're still having thousands of people die. We're looking at 63,000 American deaths. But I can only imagine, Joe and Mika and Willie, imagine if that had been protesters on the left going to a state capitol armed, or black protesters. There would have been a much different reaction. Where are those that would be calling for people that would have to denounce them as rioters and be mass arrests? So the tolerance of this kind of behavior in the face of what they're protesting is something amazing to me.
And it's amazing to me, too. You know, I'm not the greatest. Morning, Shar. How you doing? Great to see you. I am not the greatest Al Sharpton fan by far. But, you know, you got to say that man is absolutely right. If those were black folks, if those were people of color marching in on the Capitol or walking down the main street armed, saying that they're going to go storm the Capitol because you guys will not let us out of our houses, how many people do you think would have lost their life? Not due to COVID, but due to bullets. Again, this reminds me of the Black Panther movie, to where, you know, when the guys, Bobby Seals and, excuse me, the rest of them, they decide to storm the courthouse in Oakland, California. Or it might have been San Francisco. Either way, it was on the West Coast. And you noticed in that particular movie, they were surrounded by police. And white folks was in fear. Doors was slamming. Here they come, a bunch of armed black men. And just like Sharpton said, you have yet to hear the President of the United States disavow this kind of thing. Actually, if you ask me, he is the reason why this happened. Words mean a lot. They absolutely mean everything sometimes. And he pushed these folks up to almost a military coup style, taking over the Capitol building. Emergency stay-at-home order. It's not, like you said, it's not something that was punitive. Nobody was being punished. We're trying to save lives. 63,000 folks. Think about that. 63,000 folks. That is a complete city. A complete city gone, wiped off the face of the earth. So much so, if you go to the mortuaries and the funeral homes, they have bodies parked outside in freezer trucks because the people that do the embalming and all this other stuff, they can't keep up with the load. The grave diggers can't keep up with the load of people dying. Yet and still, you have folks that want to jump on in and say, our rights are being taken from us by you forcing us to stay in our house. No one is forcing you to stay in your house. But on real, it is absolutely amazing that many armed protesters protesters could walk into a state capitol building, and it's treated like there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. They don't call them they didn't call them mobs. They called them protesters. But Colin Kaepernick took a knee at a football game. Understand me, a football game. Everybody and their mama had something to say about it. Where's the NRA now? Where's all these different folks who are saying that there's a different way to protest? I couldn't think of a more peaceful way to do it than taking a knee or sitting on your ass. These guys got guns. But that's the way of this world, folks. That's how it is. And I bring all this up for reason, because if you look at it, although we all focused on this idea of COVID and being locked in, there's still a whole lot of things that's being done to the Black and brown community via the internet, via social media. What's good, Art? How you doing, my brother? Always a pleasure. Happy to see you up in here. We still definitely got to get together and do that music thing that we're talking about. I know you noticed you guys were over there the other day chopping it up about the music. Yeah, man, we got to do that. But as I was saying, folks, you just can't. As a black man, I just can't. This doesn't sit right with me. It really does not sit right with me that folks can do these things, but when it comes to black folks, we're always that group of people that anything we say or anything we do, we're demonized for it. This white reporter on Fox, Tommy Lauren or Tommy Lauren or whatever her name is, she likened this stay-at-home order to, she called it voluntary slavery. Oxymoron. Don't work, do it. Does not work at all. No, it don't. But again, the good old US of A gave her a pass. Anytime that they can jump on us and jump on our bandwagon and use our, how do I say this? Use our trail of tears to make a point, they will. Anytime they can grab something from the annals of black history and use to benefit them, they will. In this case, she grabbed the whole kit and caboodle. Making us stay at home is likened to slavery. Where at? Where the fuck they do that at? I don't think so, Tommy. But again, she was one of those white lady, blonde, some say that she's a good looking woman, but that's what they do over there at those places. They put those white, pretty blonde, as they say, well-spoken women out front. Hey, Zero, how you doing, my brother? Good to see you. And, all of a sudden, the black cause is directly under fire. Like she tried to tear Kaepernick apart. She tried to tear what's the girl's name? Cardi B apart. She tried to tear Kanye West apart. This woman hates black people with a passion, but they give her a platform. They let her spew her racial rhetoric anywhere that she shows up. Now, I'm going to reel it in a little bit and stop. I'm going to start using Shaw's words there for a minute. I'm going to stop talking about the palm-colored folks. Speak about our folks for a minute. A couple days ago, I'm not going to particularly call out the particular, how do I say this, stream that I was listening to. But there was a couple of fellas over there, they were debating about the wisdom of young versus old. In this case, older black men versus younger black men. And who's right about this or who's right about that. The younger black men say that we dropped the ball. That's why they're having it so tough. And when I say we, we're talking about those men of us that were, raised in the 60s, 70s. We dropped the ball. That's why they have it so hard. Now, as a young man coming up in the middle 70s, I remember having to folks telling my mom's telling us when the light comes on, make sure y'all inside. Don't stray too far from the house because the Ku Klux Klan might be out there. And I never understood what the Ku Klux Klan meant until I was listening to a Martin Luther King speech. And then in the background, they showed the Klan marching against them. And I always wondered, why do these guys have to cover themselves? Why do they walk around with this idea of thinking that black people are not superior to them? Didn't understand that at a young age. So that was always a stick in my craw, because the white folks that I saw growing up, I don't remember too many of them talking like that, with this business of blacks are this, blacks are that. Hey, son, good morning. Yeah, that argument's still going on, Zero. But I'm glad you brought me back on track about that. But yeah, you have these young guys who think that, everything that they do, especially these, I hate to say it, these younger black guys, they think that everything they do is brand new. The music that they produce, brand new. The thoughts they come up with, brand new. And when you try to walk them back down the path of history, they're the quickest ones to argue with you like a pack of girls. Not calling no names. No need to talk about this person by name or this person by name. I'm sure for all you folks that come to these streams and listen to these lives, you know exactly the kind of man I'm talking about. Never wrong. Always the black woman's fault that something happened to him. He never got a fair shake. The older black generation let us down because they didn't give us nothing in our hand tangible that we could move on and make life better. I need to go outside of the collective to find a better life. I need to go to another country to find me a better wife. Because I didn't get chose by the black girl here. So I need to go to another country. And when you sit in these streams with them and you sit back and you listen to them, actually you are in awe sometime. Now I was listening to a stream the other night, and I was going to play a bit of it, but there's no need putting anyone on the spot. Absolutely is no need for it. And folks, if you think I'm wrong about this, I can tell you what. Just go up to any YouTube stream where these content creators are sitting back and listen to some of the streams that you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. No, OG, you can't be right about this. No, OG, it don't work like that. No, OG. I don't think these guys realize that experience is the best teacher. Once you've lived through something, once you've graduated from something, once you've moved on to something, that is now a part of your mental capacity. You're able to handle a situation if in such cases, you get arrested by the police. You go to jail, you go through the court system, blah, 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 blah. And, that's an experience for you. That's something that you want to pass on to the next generation. Okay, don't do this, because it will result in this. You will actually have these younger kids, you will have them actually argue with you about the fact of what you know to be right. They'll step in and say, no, you got to be wrong about that, because it just doesn't work that way. At least not in the life that I've lived. But if you're 20, 25, 26 years old, how much life have you really lived? Think about this. The average The average one of us, we leave our parental home at the age of 16, 17, 18. So if you're 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, or even on all the way up to 30, you've only been on your own in the real world for less than 10, 15 years. For those men that are out there that are 40 and 50 and 60 and 70 years old, how much, hey, Shadra, how you doing? How much experience do they have under their belt when it comes to dealing with that's absolutely hey there, Rashid. How you doing? That's absolutely a good thing there, Jason. Advocating for Black awareness. That's what it is. I just got a link from actually I'm was talking to my son, so I'm kind of distracted with that. Been having a conversation with him, but again, this younger generation, again, no disrespect, because there are some great young minds out there. I've actually ran into a few that they're not so much the conscious brother, but they're brothers that are aware that we have some problems in our community. Basically, you can't go out and talk about what another community's doing to you if your community's fucked up. You can't. I don't see how a grown man could have a peace of mind saying that the government did this to me, the government did that to me, and you haven't even picked up one book or anything to help you out your own cause. You haven't done anything in the stress and struggle of Black America. You haven't done anything about it. All you've done was come up with arguments of why the older generation don't know what they're talking about. The other day, my nephew was listening to I think it was I'm not sure if it was a rap song or R&B song, but the lyrics behind, well, not so much the lyrics, but the music. When I told him that song came out in the early '70s, he was like, "No, that's brand new." No, that was Aerosmith. You mean to tell me Eminem used an Aerosmith song? Yeah, the whole damn song. But if I hadn't had the idea and the wherewithal to know exactly what I was talking about, to where I could go to and show it to him and prove it to him, that would have been an argument. No, you're wrong about that. It's the simplest of things. It seems like sometimes when you want to pass your knowledge on to these young bucks, that's exactly what they do. They bucket and book it. Hey, crew, how you doing, brother? They bucket and book it. Now, again, during the course of listening to this conversation back and forth, of course, their main topic and subject is the degradation of the Black woman. And oh, how the Black woman has done this wrong. Oh, how the Black woman has done that wrong. Oh, what happened here. Oh, what happened there. So much so that some of these young men, and even some older men, carry around that scar, that badge of honor, that everything that they could possibly blame on Black woman, they will. Even so much so, that some people, they've even been shut down by their woman doing a live stream, simply because it's not so much that of the persona that he put out. Well, actually, it was the persona that he put out. And if you've listened to this stream, those of you know who I'm talking about, it was put on Front Street. You can't fake You can't fake being a man. You really cannot. You can't tell somebody you're larger in charge of being the man of your household and your woman's paying the bills. That's not the measure of a man. Shut it down. Cut the link. Now, for the most part, I've noticed a lot of us, I noticed a lot of us when we come to these live streams, you know, we're there for a reason. We're there to either to learn something or to get some information on something. But in this case, most of us are real about what we talk about. We don't put on airs. We don't try to say that we have this or we have that. We just try and find some knowledge. Like the other day, I was listening to the young Cerulean. The brother brought a stream that, you know, to me, I thought should have been on national TV. He broke the government down so hard that it was like breaking down a shotgun and muzzle loading it. And he pointed out to it, dare I use his words, he pointed out to those derelict Negroes how the government is quite wasteful with your taxpayer dollars. Very interesting, very, very informative stream. Young African American man, young black man. I don't really like calling us African American. Young black man, folks. He had the voice of commandment. But if he would have been in some of these other streams, he wouldn't have been able to get his message across because somebody there would have told him he was simping, caping for the black woman. I said I was going to use one of their own streams against them, but nah, no need for that. Because you all know exactly what I'm talking about. We see it every day. Some of us go too far with the praise of black women, and some of us don't even get close to the praise of black women. Had a stream just a couple hours ago, I should say, where we had a young gentleman in there, and I use that term. You know, he went overboard. There's nothing wrong about uplifting black women, but we also understand what you was trying to do. Don't use don't use someone else's platform as your ulterior motive to try and get at somebody. If you're going to come back here to these YouTube streets, you got to be prepared for it, which somebody might put you on blast. That's how I see it. Again, you go into these spaces, you know, and you want at 1 minute, I'll say this. I was in a Art New Style stream a couple days ago. I go to Art stream for several reasons, but mostly I'm in awe about the art that he does. I like to watch him go from the first tick on that paper to actually who he's drawing. The man is awesome with his fingers. And it seems to me he's always trying to bring some consciousness to his stream. He's always starting off talking about something of substance. But there's a couple guys that'll come in that stream, and no disrespect, Art, they'll come in that stream, and the first thing they do, they'll figure out a way to start woman bashing. If that's what you want to do, you have just stolen what the other people have came there for. A lot of people don't come to these streams to hear you talk bad about black women. I know I don't. Absolutely don't. You're absolutely right, Shadra. That's one of the things my father taught me too. I mean, my pops was a man. He was a man of very few words. Normally he could look at you, or normally he could clear his throat, and you knew what his intentions was. The few lessons that my pop told me when he spoke volume. Don't be a shade tree, son. Don't be a shade tree. Don't be one of those shade tree guys over there. What do you mean by being shade tree? Don't look for a comfortable spot. Make your own way. Don't live off the back of a woman. And unfortunately, a lot of us do. You got to call it. You got to call it out, folks. You got to call a spade a spade. A lot of these young men out here, again, the next time you're in traffic and you see some two black folks in the car, look who's driving and look at the age of the guy on the passenger side. No driver's license, no ambition, but he got him a comfortable spot, sitting at home playing video games while the woman's working 13, 14 hours. And then she come back in, give him what he needs, his pat on the back, his hug, and he's still screaming like a banshee. Oh, I need a hug. Nobody cares about me. Nobody wants to respect me. Respect is not something that's given to you. Respect is something that's earned. Matter of fact, I think that's one of the hardest things to earn. Not a living, but respect. The respect of somebody. In these guys' cases, the respect of a woman. Now, have I had bad times with women? Of course I have. Do I blame her completely? Of course I don't. That's the thing about being a man. You have to take ownership of what you do wrong. You have to do that self-evaluation of yourself and say, you know what? I may be the reason why she's not here anymore. Did I do all I could to keep my family together at some point in time? Self-evaluation. Like my man Cerulean said, a lot of these guys, and at some point in time, I was like that too. But then, you grow up and reality hits you in the face. These guys that go around saying, well, child support is this, child support is that. Yeah, it has its bad points. But again, it also has its good points. It forces some of these, dare I use it again, derelict Negroes to It forces these derelict Negroes to do right by their children. It's not so much sometimes just because you are not there financially. Even if you can't be, folks, let me say this. Even if you can't be there with your children, men especially, even if you can't be there with your children, the day and age now of the cell phone, these kids are picking up these phones at 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. You don't have to deal with the mother in order to be in contact with the children. I know that personally. The financial part of it is just a small part. And in some cases, some women would much rather you not. If all you can do for me is send money, then I don't need that. I have a son. I can't teach him how to be a man. That's something you got to do. But because she ain't sleeping with me no more, she ain't giving up the rhythm no more, I can't mess with her. Absolutely, it is. Let me read this. I don't, Shar, that's a good question. I think a lot of times some men, they get crushed by one particular woman, and when they think about getting into another relationship, it's like I guess as someone would say, I guess they have PTSD or PW at their post-woman stress syndrome, and they just don't get over that heartbreak. Some people that's been out of relationships for years and years and years they still say that's my former, no, or that's my this, or that's my that. No, that's just a woman you used to know. Especially if you don't have kids by her. That's just a woman you used to know. Oh, I'm not going to ever date a woman named Sandra no more, because the first Sandra I had, she was a piece of shit. What about you? Did you self-reflect on this? Why was Sandra a piece of shit? Did the relationship start off that way? Was she loving? Was she attentive? Did she cater to your male ego? Or did she put you in your place? Look, nigga, get your ass up and go to work. You ain't gonna lay around here on me. That's the worst thing that you could tell. Dare I use it again? Derelict Negro. Throw that word work at him, or job, or stability, or independence. Heaven forbid you start using them 5 and 6 letter words on his ass, or those compound words, income tax, because that's what a lot of them wait for. March, February, Black Christmas, as they call it. But actually, these guys, they'll come to these streets of YouTube, and that's what they do. They'll seek out what they think is a weak-minded woman that'll fall for anything. My name is Elmer J. Fudd. I own a mansion and a yacht. I know you want some of me. But on the same line, you go into some of these streams, and these guys are just ripping women apart. Anything bad or anything nasty they could throw at, not, I guess, I would say just any woman in some cases. And then they celebrate. They celebrate by going to, as they say, another country and finding them something similar to what's here, meaning similar as in skin, but they want the long flowing hair, they want that black shiny hair, as they call it in the stores, that yaki straight hair. Look like they got Indian in their family. We're gonna make us some pretty kids. But first I'm gonna start off buying you some stoves, take you to McDonald's, do a little something for you. But you know you got to give up the rhythm though. That's really why I'm here. It's that's that two kind of Negro that we hate the most. Those who think that because they have a little bit of money in their pocket, they can do anything they want. They can buy any woman that they want, not realizing that's the only way they can get one is with that cash they got in their pocket. So much so that there's some of them that can't even buy a woman here. So they got to go to other countries, and they get into these back chats, and they get into these streams, and they completely dog out a woman. I've noticed this. A lot of these streams where these guys come in with their avatars, they have pictures of women on their avatar, but they get in there and they talk about them. When I say woman, they have pictures of women that they know, maybe have been a former girlfriend or a star that they idolize or whatever, and then they sit in that very same room with that avatar lighting up, talking about how bad a woman has treated them. In a stream last night that I was listening to, they were talking about anger management, and how if a woman comes in, rips up your clothes, tears up your clothes and all of that, how many chances do you allow her to do that? Shit, one. That's it, one. But some of these guys, as we heard last night, they go multiple chances until they end up in these streams to where woe is me. Till they find some like-minded people to get that frustration off their back about how bad that woman treated them, not realizing that you allowed that. You can't get mad at your own actions. Again, I can speak. I don't speak about other people unless I can speak about myself. I've been in some horrible relationships. Horrible. But you don't see me in the back chat talking about how bad women are. I just chalk it up to experience and move on to the next one. If I don't feel like being in a relationship, don't feel like it. If I want to be in a relationship, Fine. Let me go find one that suits what I need. Let me go find one that I can have a conversation with without getting into an argument. Let me go find one that I won't say caters to my needs, but understands my needs. I don't have to scream at her to get my point across. I don't have to yell at her to get my point across. Some men don't realize that your woman can gauge you just from the first sight of walking into their house. Oh, baby, what's wrong? What's wrong? Do you need something? Who bothered you today? What happened? What happened, my love? I need you. Those guys were bullying me. Really? Who was it? Show me that nigga. But then they talk about, again, I hate to say it, but then they talk about this red pill analogy that they always use. How do you consider yourself the king of your castle when your woman is out working 14, 13, 14 hours a day? And you sitting at home. How do you consider yourself the king of your castle? Again, some people don't do enough and some people do too much. And there's no doubt there's nothing wrong with doting over your woman, but man, don't be a sap about it. Some men want a submissive woman and don't know what a submissive woman looks like. They just know that the word sounds good. Submissive. You submit to me. Give me that. Do as I say, not as I do. And when they get that woman to do that, they can't see it in front of them. Again, I'm gonna say respectfully, but disrespectfully, this younger generation of men absolutely, really, they got a lot to learn about life. Some people blame it on, well, they were raised by single mothers. That may have something to do with it. But I used this analogy before. Now, if you're one of those males that grew up in, during the war times, when real, they're not saying that to any less than these wars now, but your pops wasn't there. He was out fighting he was out fighting for you. Not as a black man, we was on two fronts, and sometimes we had to fight the enemy across the water, and then we had to come back home and fight the enemy here. But you still have some of these young men that say that as older black men, y'all didn't do enough to secure our place in this world. Well, how much can we give you? You didn't give me anything. You didn't leave me no property. You didn't leave me anything. I left you wisdom. I left you the ability to build a house with your hands. Absolutely right. Some of them never grew up. And they won't grow up. They're used to being with that, as they say, under their mama's coattail. Haven't cut that umbilical cord yet. Grown men still haven't cut that umbilical cord. They leave from their mother's house to find a woman that treats them just as their mother was treating them. Absolutely right. My mama treated me like this, so why can't you? My mama gave me everything I wanted. Why can't you? Well, that's your mother's place to do that. Your mother is supposed to make you as comfortable as she can. Puff, puff, pass. Put that down. No, just kidding. But I think if folks get the general idea of who and what I'm talking about. Again, I was going to play some sound bites from another stream, but there's no need to do that. We don't need to do that for you folks to understand exactly where I'm coming from, because it's all around us. Even some of the female YouTubers, they get in their streams, and all they do is bash men. So it's on both sides. But I really don't care about the woman. When I say don't care, I could care less because we expect women to sit around in circles and not so much complain, but air their grievances. Women are emotional creatures, whether you guys like it or not. Most women act off their emotions. And a lot of these sissy boys out here, that's what they do. They're emotion driven. They can't wait for the woman to come home from work so they can dump off on her how their day was. I was playing this game, and the guy came in and he cheated, and it ended that game. You're a grown ass man. But then you go get in a stream and try and tell somebody else about what they're doing wrong in their lives, and your life ain't right. I said, I don't talk about people if I don't talk about myself, if I can't talk about myself. And at some point in time here, matter of fact, here, I'll even say this, within the last 7 to 10 years, the life I was living was a life of absolute chaos. And that's usually how it is when you get to almost to the very end of a relationship, whether it's a brand new relationship or whether it's one for long term. Absolute chaos. But you still don't see me on these YouTube streets hollering about how bad this woman treated me. You don't see me blaming all of my struggles and my this and my that on this woman. As a matter of fact, I think that anybody that listens to me on the radio and that anybody that listens to me when we're talking privately, you wouldn't know that I had any problems. Sounds like sometimes I don't have a care in the world. Exactly. Exactly, crew. As I say, I always remember growing up. That's one of the crucial things Pops told me. It's like, hey, I don't say very much, son. So when I talk, pay attention, because these lessons come few and far between. And that's what I really want to jump on some of these panels and tell these young men, pay attention, because these lessons come few and far between. Because I can see there's 700 and some folks in this broadcast. And you mean to tell me that this man could have found nothing else to teach you guys about except for how to spill hate and vitriol towards a black woman? He couldn't have talked about the stock market. He couldn't have talked about black unity and black pride. He talked about for hours about how disgusting black women are. So much so that they I don't know the truth behind it. From what I understand, one of these YouTubers just took her life. Not I'm just guessing. Is it true or isn't it true? I don't know. But according to some reports that I've seen and I've read, she took her life because she was cyberbullied. Some of these men in these streets take it to the extreme to where they actually put somebody else's business out there. If you're going to go somewhere and have a threesome with somebody, that's your damn business. And as a woman, I don't see how another woman could sit in these streams, listen to how these other women and young men disparage them, and then want to drop money on them. Hit that link. Appreciate you. I'm gonna shut the stream down if I don't get such a time. You're not dispensing knowledge. You're collecting somewhat of a paycheck off somebody else's grief. Bottom line, you're dispensing knowledge. Or they say they are. You can't get this anywhere else. I can get vitriol and anger and hate anywhere. I can go to anybody's channel and get that. Sometimes all you got to do is walk up in there and say, hey, oh, it's that nigga again. Here he come. Simp. Here he comes simping. I still remember that one particular question that I'll bring back to Art, and I know it's been some time, but I still remember that one particular question that he asked this young fella in his stream. Said, is there no woman worth saving? Is there no black woman worth saving? And I thought about this as I was listening to music. You know, sometimes those very women that they talk about that's beyond saving, sometimes you have to clean the oyster to find the pearl. There's one in there. It maybe not your pearl. We're so quick to, as some black men, we're so quick to want to throw away black women. Not realizing that, okay, we'll say this. Are all black women up to par? Hell no. Hell no, they're not. We know that. We know we got some dirty girls in our neighborhoods. Dudes, a little strange for a piece of change. We know we got them. And I say it again. Sometimes you got to clean the oyster to find the pearl. But these men, they take it to the extreme. So much so that they like, I can't wait. The stream starts at 9 o'clock. I can't wait to get in there and throw some more salt on these wounds. Meanwhile, they're going over there getting bottle fed by that guy or those guys. So much so, I remember just a couple weeks ago, the latest thing in the YouTube streets where folks was talking about Bars Kojo and his wife, to where she was talking, I guess, to another couple about some of the things that she wanted in her relationship that she was missing. And some men act like that was something wrong for her saying that. In these very same streams that a lot of us listen to, she just better be glad that she got bars. Huh? Yeah, that man's a real panty dropper. He can get any woman he wants. She the lucky one. Huh? Why you always cheerleading for the man? What's wrong with you? I'm going to drop the link here in just a few minutes there. And anyone wants to come in and join me, more than welcome to. As a matter of fact, I'll put it down in the chat room now. And you're welcome to join in the conversation and bring in any topic that you want to. Because, I mean, I can always say that when you go to these places and you hear some of the comments and that some of these guys be talking about, you ask yourself, wow, is it real? Did he really just say that? There ain't no such thing as a good black woman. Well, you just eliminated damn near over half of our population. No such thing as a good woman. Again, it's called self-evaluation. Look at yourself and wonder why none of these black women are choosing you. Not only not the black women, but the white women, the Mexican women, so much so that you gotta come out your pocket. The price of coochie go up when you in the neighborhood, bro. I don't understand this business of always having to find somebody else to blame for your problems. Again, there's so many things in black universe that we could be better at, that we could sit down and teach our young men, our young women, because we now have the tools to do it. You don't have to be up in somebody's face to give them a lesson in life. We have this, we have YouTube, we have Facebook, we have all these different platforms. And going back to what Cerulean was talking about a couple nights ago, even for those guys that are on child support, you have all kinds of ways to keep in touch with your children now. It is what it is. You have all kinds of ways to keep up with your children and the welfare of them. In some cases, I can understand breaking up is hard to do, ladies and gentlemen. It really is, especially if you love a woman and you gave her your all, and she figures that you're just not for her. That don't mean your life is over. It means you just find something else. You find one that suits you. Don't sit up in a chat room and wallow in your own pity and find other like-minded men to do the same. Don't do that to yourself. I'm gonna slide on over to Facebook here for a second, and I'm gonna see if I can get my son to come into the chat here. I normally I don't I don't bring my my family into this realm of this life that I live, but I think my son is quite old enough and quite capable of handling himself. His voice is, we don't sound very much different. But anyway, there, ladies and gentlemen, as I was saying, I probably could have made this stream a little bit more interesting by using other folks' voices, to pretty much to bring my point home. But I think you all know exactly what, and in some cases, who I am referring to. All right, sure. Just when you get on out, I'll be right here. Anyone else want to jump on in and speak to the crowd, or yeah, some kind of question of me, or some kind of knowledge or advice that you can give me? See, I understand the fact that you're never too old to learn. I understand that there's some things that young men and young women can't teach me. I'm not above saying, yeah, you too young. Ain't no way you could tell me that, because there's some things in this universe and some things in young world that I don't know. But they bring it to me. I'd be a damn fool to turn it down. Whereas I was talking about earlier, there's some young men that will argue you to the ends of the earth about something that you know everything about and he knows absolutely nothing about. And just because they find something on Google, oh, you can't know what you're talking about. You can't know what you're talking about. Well, just because you thought it about, who put it on Google? Where did the information come from? Remember, the internet wasn't around in 1975, 1980. The internet really wasn't even prominent until like what, middle 80s. I remember way back in 1983 when I heard them start talking about this thing called the World Wide Web. And you'll be able to get on the World Wide Web and see eventually we've got this idea to where you'll be able to. How you there, Miss One Dolce? Good to see you. Thank you so very much. But I remember that time to where the internet was just an idea of somebody's, to where one day you will be able to order pizza and not leave your house. See, that's exactly what I mean, crew. This simply because they figure because they read something in a book somewhere, or they read something on a YouTube, or you saw something on a YouTube page, or they saw something on a Facebook page, and they go back and they read the article. All of a sudden, they are the experts on it, and no one can tell them anything that they're right about it or they're wrong. You're wrong about that. No, I read this on Google. Google told me this. Well, where was Google in 1980? Hmm? It certainly wasn't. It certainly wasn't. You had to go to Webster then. or you had to go to your local library and pull out one of those cards, those cue cards that they have in there, and you had to thumb through it till you can find exactly what particular article or something you was looking for, or microfiche. Sure wasn't. Absolutely right. Good point, crew. Google wasn't breaking. And it sure wasn't tagging up trains and buses and things like that. See, that's the exact thing that what I try to tell folks when I do go into these streams and I do speak to a few folks. It's like, listen, I'm speaking from experience. You can't tell me about the 80s if you didn't live in the 80s. You can't tell me about the 90s if you were just born in the 90s. You can't tell me about history in the 60s if you didn't live in the 60s. That's like me trying to tell somebody what and something was going on in 1950, and I was nowhere around in 1950. That's like me telling somebody in the 1961, 62, 63, 64, 65, I know all the history of that. When someone had literally had to teach me that history. We didn't have the internet then. Folks didn't have to tell me about what civil rights was. How you doing there, Miss Parchment? Thank you for joining in. No one had to tell me about this or that. As a young black man, I've always been inquisitive. I've always had this thirst to find out what makes things work, what makes things tick. I always had a thirst for knowledge. And with age comes wisdom, with age comes experience. And a lot of these guys take that experience and that wisdom and act like it's nothing. It's just some words in the dictionary. They don't want to hear what the former generation had to say because they know better. They got all the answers. How you going to be a relationship coach and you're not in one? How you going to tell somebody how to conduct their life and how to treat their woman when you don't treat yours right? How you going to tell somebody that you should be the masculine person that you are and dominate your woman when your woman is actually dominating you? How do I mean? If the woman is the major breadwinner in the house, she's dominating you. Because at any time she could say, you know what? I'm paying the bills here. You ain't doing nothing. Get out. What are you going to do? Some people resort to saying, I got to call the police on you. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I say this. If a woman got to call the police on you to get you out the house, you done fucked up already anyway. That misplaced frustration sometimes is what get a whole lot of us in trouble. Not realizing where our, as they say, a lot of these men, these shade tree mechanics, bite the hand that feed them. You know what I mean? Walking around, with the latest designer clothes on, the Jordans, the this and the that. They on the streams telling folks about what they got about this, what they got about that. That's another thing. Men of substance don't walk around bragging about it. They really don't. Men of honor don't walk around bragging about it. We was some friends of mine the other day where we were all watching Coming to America. And if you watch this movie for the comedic genius in it, you missed a lot. As one of my good friends said, Eddie Murphy was dropping knowledge all throughout this movie in his own comedic way, but he was apt a lot of things he was dead on point about. Exactly. Real gangsters don't walk around telling you how tough they are. You just know. But like the movie we were watching, Coming to America, it was like you could see with everything that Eddie did from once he decided that this was the woman that he wanted. The only part I don't agree with about is, man, when you got to leave your country to come find another one. Okay, I guess because you're the prince and some folks might know you there. Okay, we'll give you the benefit of that doubt. But once this woman started seeing Eddie for what, in this case, the character that Eddie played for what he was, she started seeing, like she said, as a part of him that says, when people see you, there's a glow about you. It's almost regal. And folks, when you can get a woman to look at you like that, ain't nothing, no better feeling. I'm not one call that being simpest. I'm just saying that's just the feeling that a man wants from a woman. To look at her, to engage her eye contact, and for her to know that, listen, my man is not feeling well today. My man is sick today. My man just came in from a long day of work. Let me prepare him some food. Let me take care of his needs so he can get back out there and face the world tomorrow. In a lot of cases, those relationships don't work out. Some of them don't. No matter how hard you try, there's some women that give everything, and there's some men that give everything, and it just don't work. But that's not the time to throw in the towel. That's not the time to get on a stream and say black women ain't shit. Black women are bitches. Black women are hyenas. I'm not gonna say I'm throwing this veil of what's the word I'm looking for here, of greatness on black women, because I say again, we do have our problems. We do have our low rent black woman. And somebody will say something like, well, yeah, white folks had that too. Well, we're not dealing with white folks. We don't live in white communities. Some of us might visit white community for 8, 9 hours a day, but normally we live in black community. Just 1 second there, folks. And I want to welcome Char Willie to the panel. Hey, Char, how you doing?
Greetings. I'm well. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. I'm great. I noticed down in the chat when you say you wanted to ask me a question, so let's go right ahead with it. Come on with it.
Okay. All right. So I'm gonna throw out some stuff out there. Thank you all for coming. Appreciate you. What happens? We all kind of get connected one way or another. So thank you for coming to the stream. Okay. Now, for me, I don't care for talking about celebrities. Um, one reason I don't care. That's their life. There's nothing I can do. They live in where they live. Doesn't affect me one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
And a quick thing, what really made me nauseous is when there was a big thing when Tyrese got married. I mean, all over YouTube, that's everybody talked about it all day and all night. And I just sat back wondering, how is this, affecting anyone? But okay, it is what it is. Now, for me, I like talking about situations.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like to do. So I'm going to ask you a series of questions.
Okay.
Um, I know you're new to the YouTube street, so I like to see what your response is, and I know it'll be reasonable, and I will give you the opposite answer more than likely of what's in the YouTube streets. I might
Oh,
bring that up occasionally. So
oh,
here goes.
okay. Alrighty.
Now with the Kojo, the Boris Kojo and his wife Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned that a little bit earlier. My question is to you. You're, I guess, in your 40s, and your wife is in her 40s as well, and she's saying that she wants a little bit more attention.
Okay.
Do you find that a reason to not be with her anymore?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think she is exactly telling you that's the really basically the kind of woman that you want, that will speak up and tell you what's missing in our relationship. You don't want to sit around the house and have quietness and have to guess at what's wrong with her or why she did it. I would prefer a woman to tell me, listen, what we had before, it's not the same thing we have now. Something's missing. Well, this is what I think that's missing. We don't talk. You don't walk up and behind me and pinch me on the butt anymore. You don't text me in the middle of the day anymore just for no reason. Those are the things that attracted me to you. You don't do those anymore. What's wrong? What am I not doing right, or what are we not doing right to get back to that level of that we had before, that level of friendship that we had?
Okay, so you're reasonable with your answer. So I'm going to give you some of the things that were said to see what your response is for that.
Okay.
Um, she should be happy that he is with her. He can leave her and he should leave her and get somebody else because she's hit the wall. What
Meaning
is
hit,
your response to that? She's
hit.
over the hill. She's
Well,
out of her prime. She's over 28 years old.
again, to me, that's the sign of a man that is just. I'll just say that he has the moniker of man because that's what his outer appearance is. But he has the mind of a boy, to where it's so much so that you mean to tell me that you're going to invest all this time in building this relationship, and just because she comes at you with a few things that she feels is different, it's time to get on out the way and go find somebody else? What makes you think that that woman or man that you're going to go out and find, what makes you think that she or he's not going to be worse?
Okay. Well, I was wondering, listening to both sides, what you said and what I've been hearing, how would that work out? You're a 40-year-old man, you're rich, good looking, you're a model and all that good stuff. And now your wife says that she missed the attention she used to get. So his response is, you should be happy to be with me. So I'm going to divorce you and I'm going to go get me someone else.
It,
What
it's
is your response for that?
it sounds to me like that this person who said that thought he was doing his girl a favor by being with him, and that's how he looked at throughout the whole relationship. He was never committed to the relationship. As soon as he felt that maybe she wasn't submissive to him anymore, then it was time for me to move on, find me something else, because I can't deal with a woman that wants me to change my way of thinking to suit her needs.
Okay. My next question. This is a actor and actress. This is what they do, and they have a Instagram post or live stream, and they share it with the world. This was something agreed upon, and as well as the conversation, more than likely. My question is that disrespectful after they discuss whatever it is they were going to talk about? Is that disrespectful to say that she said to her husband or to the audience?
No, I don't think it was disrespectful at all. Again, I'll revert back to the Boris Kojo and his wife's situation. I think that's something that they normally do. They normally, have these powwows to where, they may air out their differences, but they keep it to the point to where it's personal, but it's not too personal. I don't see anything wrong with being in a, and especially they're already in, I guess, in the limelight, in the public eye, so to speak. So there's nothing wrong with using your platform to teach other people about how to, I guess, in a way, to have a successful marriage. I don't see anything.
Oh,
I don't see anything wrong with that at all. I didn't, not less, she was on the thing talking about, what he does in the bedroom. Now you could take it too far. You absolutely could take it too far, but she didn't. In this case, I don't think she did.
oh, okay. Now that you responded that way, my next question would be, if they didn't discuss it and that was disrespectful, if this is what you think, if it's disrespectful, should you divorce her and get you a younger woman?
Uh, Again, that's not that would be a question that you would have to ask a sap because to me I don't see that just because my a significant other is, I won't say complaining about something, but making me aware of something, and just because I don't agree with it, the first time I don't agree with her, it's time to bail out, or because I felt that you disrespected me and it's time to bail out, then that relationship was doomed from the start anyway. You was always looking for a reason to get out of it, and according to your standards, now she gave you one.
Okay. Well, see, that's the thing. I'm not able to ask anyone that is in opposition that would actually answer the questions. So that's why I'm, asking you these questions. And like I said, I know you're going to be reasonable with your responses, but I'm trying here.
Right.
I'm bringing all these things up because these are the things that I would like to know. I would like to know, if you felt disrespected, should you divorce her and get you a younger woman? Once she get at a certain age and she says she wants some attention, you like, no, you don't get any attention because you're over the age of 28. You have hit the wall, and I can get a younger woman and go get me, any woman I want. You should be happy and shut up, but you're not. So I'm going to leave you. I'm going
Yeah.
to divorce you.
Yeah.
So all these things go back to leave her, leave her, leave her, leave her. So my next question would be to whoever would say that, how much would that cost? What do you go to the courts and say, excuse me, Your Honor, my wife is over the age of 28 and she wants attention. I would like to have a divorce. How do you present that to an attorney or a court of law?
Well, they see they've given those type men and women, a tool for that, and it's called irreconcilable differences.
Oh, okay. So the man would just say, um, irre- tongue tied.
Right. Right.
Yeah, that word. Yeah, yeah, that.
Right.
So that's what he says, and then he pays a fee,
Mm-hmm.
and because he's going to have to pay,
Right.
and then he goes and get the 28-year-old because she's not going to say those things. Now let's say now he's in his 50s and now she's in her 30s, and she says, you know, I really miss when we used to go out and have date night and stuff. Do he do it again? Okay, you should be glad to be with me.
Well,
So I feel that you're disrespecting me. So I'm going to divorce you and get me a younger woman because you're over the wall. When does this stop?
in some cases, for some men like that, it doesn't stop. That's how they live their lives. They really do, and unfortunately, you got to give some of the blame to some of these women because there is a different pattern to that. That's definite. Well, how long was you? I noticed that every time you ended in a relationship, you always ended with a woman right when she's like turning 30 or 35. But then again, the uh, the tables could be turned on him as well. The woman could be 30
Okay.
and he could be 50. You know what? I need somebody that's a little bit that likes got that get up and go. You moving too
Okay. Now, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
you moving too slow. I need to go find me a younger man.
So I'm asking this question because a lot of the people that hear around YouTube, the audience that are saying this, do they actually have the finances to do this? This is the advice that they're giving.
Right.
So I'm wondering, is this something that they would do?
Well, again, you got to look at the source of it. And a lot of these guys, unfortunately, they tell on themselves and they tell on their financial situation just in the heat of anger. Well, I got this, or I did this, and I did this, and I did that. I got this, but then when it boils down to it, that financial part of them that they say that that they able to go to these different countries or whatever, and you start asking them poignant questions about say something as simple as one of these guys that say, I'm gonna go to another country to get me another woman. Well, the first part of that is it's going to cost you some money anyway, because you can't go to another country without checking in first, checking into with the United States government. Passport. So that's going to cost you a little money, right?
Hmm.
Now, if you it's the same thing as if you keep how do I say this? It's like first in fivefold, first in first out. In this case, he's using it as an age thing. Once you hit the wall at 28, 30, then I'm done with you. But in the meantime, I'm still growing older. So at some point in time, his limitations, as far as the age of the woman, unless he's that financial guy, that guy that's so financial that he can go and buy one of those type women. But for the most part, most of those guys are just sitting back in those YouTube pages, just saying that they can do these things, but they really don't have the money or the wherewithal to do it.
Hmm.
It's easy to, what's that old thing they say, fake it till you make it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I brought those things up. What it reminds me of is the women that sit back and tell a woman to leave her man, and they don't have any. That's what it reminds me of.
Well, you
Girl, what? He didn't pay you no girl, you need to leave him. Mm-hmm.
right.
Uh-huh.
And
That's what that reminds me of.
you have to ask yourself as a woman, is that a friend of mine? You mean they're telling me the best advice you could give me is to split my family up? That's the best
Yeah.
advice you could give me? Really?
Yeah. So I flipped it, but I know, some people may be hearing it saying like, oh, well, the woman's, she's not nothing or whatever. But I say that to say that if you're going to look at it and say it's financially good to get rid of a woman because she wanted some attention. I've been with this woman for a while and she has a complaint. And that's really not a complaint, that's just nature. What I hear is you've never been in a long-term relationship, so you don't know how it goes. It is something, I'll say at least 3 years or longer to wake up with someone every day.
Right.
Every day.
And that's the thing, every
A
day.
1,000 days in a row.
Right.
Give it a try
Hmm.
and then contact me. Because there's no way you've done that and those are the options that, first thing to come to mind.
Right.
And let's say if it is, let's have a talk one on one and find out where that comes from. Because something's going on. There's some unresolved issues going on. And a lot of people think that they don't get embarrassed about it. Fix it so you can be better. What's wrong with that?
Right. And let me go back just a little bit, Char. In a lot of cases, you have to watch those friends that you bring around your relationship, because some of it could be, some of those friends that smile in your face, they be at your front door when you're not home. So those when if I was if I had a friend, and every time I sat back and I talked to him, and he'd be telling me, man, you need to leave your wife, man. You don't need to put up with that. You need to leave that bitch. I'm gonna start looking at him, man. Why every time I talk to you about some personal problems, the answer you have for me is to leave her? But what's wrong with you?
And that's what I'm pointing at. What about the same guys that hang out and talk these things about women, finally meet a woman, and one thing happened, and he's like, man, I'm dealing with this chick, and we've been hanging out for 3 months, and she had asked for me to pay her cell phone bill, and man, no, leave that beep 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 beep. That's a beep beep. Leave her.
Right,
That's the
right.
advice that they will give.
Right. And unfortunately, some of these folks that give that advice, they actually misery loves company. Sure.
And that's what I'm pointing out.
Right.
If you say that about a celebrity couple and you don't have any means, you haven't had the experience or anything, and you're saying that, you're going to tell that to your buddies you're hanging out with. Just like those women, they're going to say that to their friend that got a man and they don't.
Right.
Something to think about. And I'll end it there so Shadra can have a time to speak.
And welcome to the panel there, Chandra. Always a pleasure having you there, young warrior. Drop on in.
Hey, good afternoon. Now, one of the things that I noticed that isn't addressed in the questions that Shar is asking is these people are afraid of responsibility. Oh, see, we all know that everybody gets older. We all know I'm not going to stay as pretty as I am right now 30 years from now.
Right.
We all know that. As a matter of fact, until they make some kind of genetic dealing in which you stop aging entirely, that's going to be a reality of life.
Right. No one's really discovered that fountain of youth yet, have they?
No. So what it means is that you don't want to take responsibility for the relationship you have, and you don't want to put any effort when it's no longer just about the physical attraction. And every relationship has a point at which the physical attraction isn't the main thing keeping you together.
Right.
If you have a long enough relationship.
Absolutely right, and that is key right there, Chandra. It is. I mean, that thing of, once you are used to being around a person, that's not to take anything away from someone's look or anything, but you stop after you're in a relationship for a while. You stop looking at their physical, that physical part of her. You start looking at this particular woman or man as in, either in this case the woman in the relationship, the man in the relationship. Now we both have now we have children, so now we are partners in crime in this thing. And a lot of men again don't want to take that responsibility of, as okay, my woman's gotten a little bit older, or my man has gotten a little bit older. I need to go find something better. I need to go look for me a younger woman.
How many times can you find a younger woman? How many times can you find someone quote unquote better before you start realizing that the problem isn't necessarily you having to find someone better? The problem is that you don't cherish what you have.
That's it.
I think someone wise once said happiness is wanting what you have, not necessarily having what you want.
Right. Absolutely. And again, a lot of people confuse this thing that they say is at that outer beauty. If you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, once you and I'll try and be as gingerly as I can about that. But once you've had that first intimacy, and then everybody's butt naked to the world, so to speak, there's nothing new up under them clothes anymore. So at that time that you spend in the bedroom, 15, 20 minutes here, if you're a real stud, an hour, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, days, or whatever, if you're a real stud, but eventually you have to come to the reality that there's a other world outside of that sexual encounter that we have each and every day. So, hey, Verbal Assassin, welcome. So when you start getting past the idea of you thinking that you want a woman based on her looks, you in for a long, hard life. A life that's eventually is going to leave you lonely. A life that eventually that's going to leave you alone. There is a difference. You can be alone but not lonely. But it's a hell of a thing to be alone and lonely at the same time. That's a hell of a thing. That's a hell of a feeling. So for those who go in that idea of thinking I can get a woman anytime I want, if there are some women that you can buy that don't mind being a kept woman, really don't mind that at all. But if you're looking for longevity and a good life and happiness and the pursuit of the White House with the house with the white picket fence, the 2.5 children, you got to make concessions. You got to understand that not all relationships are going to be peachy keen every day. Again, I'm not talking about people that talk to me about relationships. I'm talking about my own personal relationships. Not everyone was peachy keen. Was I right in a lot of situations? Nope. But the man side of me told me I got to be right because I'm the man here. And once I realized that, you know what? Shit, I was dead wrong. It was too late. She already got the hell on.
Well, at least you're able and willing to admit that right now.
Right. And a lot of men don't. That's a problem. They're stuck on that idea of it was her fault. It was all her fault. All her fault. I had nothing to do with our breakup. Nothing.
And even if that were true, right? Let's look at this over the course of 15 breakups, right? If every single one of your breakups ends the same way and it's always her fault, it may have something to do with the woman you're choosing.
Right. Garbage in, excuse me, garbage in, garbage out, right?
Yeah.
And it's all about the if you hang around the strip club, where you think you're gonna date?
Well, it could be the stripper or it could be the bartender.
Could be. I like the bartender.
But even so, these guys, they like to pose things as though they have an infinite flow of resources with which to continue to capture and woo women. And for most guys, you don't get that much.
Right.
You just don't.
Right.
Most guys, even if you're making six figures is just enough to get by in today's society with a two parent household. I mean, you could get by with a little bit less, but not much, because by the time taxes take that first chunk out, you're not doing very much.
Right. And again, you have these guys who, as I say, they kind of lay back in the cut. We both heard some streams to where some of these men have said, that I know what's going to get these women to submit once they come out. Once we released it and the pandemic is over with, and these women are going to come falling back to us. The world going to be your oyster. Those are the kind of men that we were just talking about. That's what they're waiting for. They're waiting for the low class of woman to step on and back out in the streets so they can have their pick of them.
Why do we have to wait for the world to end, or dare I say the Heineken virus, or why do we have to wait for negative impact to force people to choose us? Why don't we want people who want us for who we are and not forced to choose us because of negatively impacted by their situation? Do you want to be with someone who's forced to be with you because they're broken, they can't eat otherwise, or do you want to be with someone who wants you even if they could eat without you?
Again, go right ahead, sure.
Can I take it back before you go with the that particular scenario? I also wanted to ask, what do you tell your children? What do Boris tell his children when he's divorcing his wife because she wanted some attention?
Oh, hell. Your mama wanted me to sit down and talk to her after I got off work. I couldn't deal with that. Shit, I had to go.
Oh, okay. All right. So what you think your children are going to think about dear old dad when they're growing up and they're visiting back and forth and seeing all of this? How does that affect your children?
My daddy's a pimp. My daddy's a pimp. He walked away from my mama because this and that. But then again, you're gonna have those, especially those bored children. Is like, damn, pops, you mean to tell me that's why you divorced moms? Because of what? Yeah, I can't get with that. No, I didn't understand when I was a child what you were trying to tell me. But now that I'm a grown man, that was a punk ass move, pops.
Yeah, so these are just the questions I would have, because this is the solution that I've heard a lot of the chat rooms say. And I would just like to ask them those questions. How do you work that out? Because a lot of the complaints are the women are leaving the men and they got the children and I can't see the children, all of that. Okay, now there's some children involved in this particular relationship, marriage that they're talking about. So what's going on here? So I just wanted to bring that up.
Well, I mean, especially in a relationship that ends up having it produces children, and the relationship falls apart. You have to deal with that with kid gloves. In a lot of situations, folks, we think that the money is enough. And in some cases, it has to be because of you and the child's mother, or you and the child's father. You guys are so volatile towards each other that all you're teaching your child is anarchy. So as a man, sometimes you just want to remove yourself from the situation completely. And, a week becomes a month. A month becomes a year becomes this, but then you realize after a while that, you know what, maybe I stayed away too long. Maybe I would, maybe instead of worrying about the argument that I was having with my girl all the time, I should have been a little bit more focused on helping some kind of way to raise my children. Again, I don't talk about other people unless, you know, it's something that I'm not having experienced or been aware of.
Hmm.
And you know, some relationships that I've had, I've looked back at, you know, and I've thought to myself, you know what, wow, I was an asshole, wasn't I? I really was.
What?
Yeah.
Responsibility? How dare you?
Yeah, it is what it is, and that's the part of being what that three letter word they call man, MAN, responsibility, stability.
Yeah.
It is what it is, you know. And a lot of these younger guys, you know, they look back and they always say to the older generation, "You guys didn't do this for us. You guys didn't do that for us." But actually, yeah, we did. We gave you a blueprint of how to treat your woman. Because if you even if you go back to the old pictures, you see the black men when even when we went out to protest, we had on suits and ties.
Okay.
We wasn't out in the streets with our blue jeans pulled down to where you could see that we had on gray underwear or, you know, whatever, or our
Hmm.
boxers or whatever. So, you know, if you want somebody to take you seriously on some things, sometimes you have to present yourself as being serious.
So it appears that you're saying that they want it really easy, not only with, women, but as far as financial and life.
Right. They don't want to hand up, they want to hand out for as long as they possibly can. That's why I call those guys shade tree mechanics.
Okay.
That's exactly what they are. They go from woman to woman, breaking everything they possibly can, crashing homes. You know, I don't know if a lot of you folks might have seen that one post that I put it over there with the young woman that brought the man into her house, and she had the 12, 13-year old girl in the house with him, and find out that the man was, you know, being appropriate with the young girl. Now, how long was that going on? But as a mother, you mean to tell me there was no signs? Was that having that man in that house with you, was it so that important that you allowed things to go on that shouldn't have been going on?
Yeah, when I looked at the video, I'm like, it's not even worth commenting because it's too much to say.
Right.
But that woman, she wasn't interested in a solution. She did that because she wanted to put it on display. That was her way of showing that she had power, even though it wasn't power, but that's in her mind. Um, Unfortunately, that's what she was showing. That hey, y'all, I got power. See, I had got me a man, and he did this, so I put him out. Y'all seen it? See. But look at the guy that she chose. She had several children. The woman is struggling. She picked up someone that was available to chauffeur her children around. He wasn't a responsible type of guy. He would have been busy himself. So, you know, unfortunately, that woman life is, how she's living it. But that's why she don't want to have a conversation with you and blocked you and anyone else. Because there's other that came along and she did the same thing too.
Right. Right, exactly. And that's the kind of unfortunately that's the kind of women that a lot of these guys choose. You know, they think because well, she let me drive her car, you know, I pick her daughter up and I do this for her, you know, while she's out at work. But you know, again, if you saw that picture, he didn't look like the kind of guy that I would have around my children anyway.
Yeah, and she spoke with him like he's a child because he's helping. He helps around the house. He chauffeurs around the kids and all that. That's all he was to her, as well as a piece of meat when
Ab-
she
ab-
wanted it.
Absolutely. You got a grown woman in the house that want to marry you. Wait a minute, huh? Why did that part even come out of your mouth? Why was you even still considering marrying him? Why weren't the police called automatically? Why was you on Facebook posting that, telling everybody about it? I can understand you wanting to beat his ass, because if it was my child, yeah, I'd have been there. I'd have put hands on you, no doubt about that. But I would have not posted that on Facebook.
Yeah, that's what she wanted. She wanted that attention.
And she got it.
She wanted the recognition of social media that she put this guy out of her house, but in reality, it was already too late. The damage had already been done. This guy had
Right.
already touched her little girl,
Right.
Hmm. And see, that's
and
what's going on with social media. And you see it in the YouTube streets at all. People are not having conversations, they're hanging out. They're not talking about topics, they're talking about people. So, how can you get anywhere if that's all you're doing? If that's what you want to do, that's fine, to each his own. But it doesn't really help us as a collective.
Right. Absolutely. There's a thing called content creators, and there's another thing called shit stirrers. We have two kinds back here. Content creators, true content creators, and then we have those true shit stirrers, and all they do is talk about other people in their streams. All they do is trying to go behind the scenes and get some information on someone that they feel that's embarrassing to that person and post it out.
Right. Or, make fun of a person's situation and or their decision.
Right.
So what does that teach other people? If you just laugh at it and make fun of it, where is the solution in that? But some people are not interested in a solution. It's just like some of the building funds. A lot of churches have building funds, and that fund is endless. I mean, that building is never going to be built. It's not going to be repaired.
Right. Shar, I was now that you said that, the building fund, some folks been sending me some clips, and I've been doing a little bit more research on Dr. Umar Johnson,
Hmm.
and that's the kind of guy that that's what I say. Those are the kind of guys that are dangerous because they have charisma. They have that natural way of speaking to get people to pay attention to them. But as I see it, yeah, he has some good words, but his intentions are not good, because I don't care how long it is. This has been since 2013 that this guy has been building this so-called school, and there's not one yet.
And some people say it's been longer than that. I think
Right.
2010 or '09, and he probably started off with the good intention. I actually
Yes.
know content creators, they start off with good intentions. Something
Yes.
happened along the line, so it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely is. And that's what I think it is. You like the battle of the preachers. You could say, come on, we got to get this money up for this building fund. As you a child, you go into this church, and you still, when you come back as a grown man, well, damn, that same hole is in the wall that was there when I was 13. I'm 30.
Yeah, it's just like that clean water for Africa. I swear I was at least 10 years old, and I look 30, 40 years later, and they still need the clean water. And I'm
Still,
like,
right,
I'm not a brain surgeon or a scientist, anything like that, but I'm pretty sure I can come up with something. I would have figured something out in all these years of getting some clean water there.
right.
That's just me. I think I can think of it. I'm gonna try a lot of stuff, and it failed. I'm like, we're gonna figure this out. We're gonna get you some clean water.
On the line.
Yep.
Sometimes it happens that way. My studio is upstairs, and I've found that it'll come in from downstairs, and they don't see the sign that's on the door in a live session.
Oh, I know about that, and I experienced that yesterday, but that's another story.
but but actually, I mean, it's like this. That's what exactly what I mean. I mean, those folks that are out there that are quite dangerous to our communities. They really are. You have those folks that come out and that preach they preach they preach this black unity, they preach this black pride. They're going to say what they're going to do so much to help the young black boy out. But when you call them on it, and when you look at it for face value, all they're doing is nothing no more than these other politicians are doing, living off somebody else's misery. Put this. Let me show you this picture of this broken black boy, and let me put that sympathy on you right quickly. And then right after that, hey, make sure you hit that link. Chandra?
Well, one of the things I will say about that is it's sad because it's that feed the children, save the starving animals deal, and these people use it to quite literally, at least some of them go around wearing chains, wearing pinky rings, wearing, smoking cigars paid for off of something that they're saying, yeah, support your interests, support black male media, right? And then at the same time, they're going, oh, well, I'm going to get this pinky ring on, like the pastor of a church. I'm going to go ahead and get this BMW and this Mercedes because, I deserve it, while all that money that they're using could have been used to impact the community.
Exactly.
And I think Cerulean did a video sometime back where he showed that there was billions of dollars tied up in the church. I think it's several billions in the black church at the very least, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now on YouTube, you have several people who basically are running churches on YouTube.
That's exactly it. That's exactly what they're doing. They're running mobile churches because you can broadcast from your phone. Just think about this. These guys that do this, just think about it. This could be driving down the street. Oh, I drive by and they see a car. You know what? If I do enough of these streams, I can get a down payment for that car right there.
I know of at least one YouTuber who was paid for their vehicle this way.
Huh.
Well, is paying for their vehicle this way.
There you have it.
Yeah.
There you have it. The building fund. The build me up fund is what they should call it.
Yeah, but when you sit down and think about it, though, what good are they actually doing to the community? What knowledge are they passing on? What benefit are they having?
None.
And when you start asking those questions, the majority of them don't have a positive answer for that.
No, they don't. And they resort to name calling and arguing to get out of that, to answering the question. Okay, what you say that you're so community minded. When's the last time you went to a Boys and Girls Club? Are you a member of the Big Brothers organization? Big Brothers, Big Sisters. There's so many things that we can do to teach our children and help our children, other than sitting on YouTube doing a live stream every day.
That ain't none of my kids. Ain't none of my kids. Go ahead.
Sitting on YouTube doing 3 live streams a day. My bad.
Yeah. Well, Shar,
who's counting?
Right. There you go, Shar. That was exactly what a lot of them do. That's not my child. But wait a minute. That's the premise of you being here. Reach one, teach one. Doesn't necessarily have to be your child. I'm sure that a lot of you folks in here are, if you're not younger than me, you're very, very young, much younger than me. I could easily sit here and do a woman bashing session easily, or I could go to another stream and go find one of my sisters and do an easy man bashing session. Easy things to do. It's easy to talk shit on somebody. It's the easiest thing that we can do. The hardest thing to do is to help uplift your community without having to take away from it.
Yeah, because it takes action.
It does. Community action. There's that old thing that goes, it takes a village to raise a child. We forgot about that. We don't use that anymore. Lead the collective. Use the force, Luke.
Well, when you say the force, I'm going to refer back to something that Brother Jay Shine and Brother Cerulean have been talking about, and that's power. What power is. Power is not something that one person decides to wield. No, power is something that is vested as a community. You ask any community, how did they get a vote or initiative pushed through? That's power, because it takes many people to come together.
Yeah,
We
absolutely.
have to have unified goals. We have to have unified benchmarks and unified standards. Because if you have a goal, have to have a benchmark for achievement of that goal. You have to have certain standards that we agree on. These are things we will not do. These are things we will do. These are things we will achieve.
Right.
But
Absolutely.
we also need leaders who are capable of saying, "Hey, this is what we're going to do."
Right.
And it's sad to see when we have people who have the charisma to say, "Let's get this thing done," but instead they're using it to line their own pockets.
Line their own pockets. Exactly. And Chandra, I just you bring up a good point. Even the white supremacists, folks, the skinheads, they have you say what you want to, but they at least they are uniformed in what their agenda is. We don't like black people. You're not going to find somebody in the skinhead organization say, some black people are all right. I can deal with them. I can deal with them. They're
And
uniform. They're uniformed in their rhetoric, and over here it's like, again, it's pick and choose. If I can find a crowd that to pay me to sit around and talk bad about black women, that's what I'm going to do.
Wow.
And you even when you go to these, to know about the enemy, you have to be in their spaces sometimes. So I go to some of these white supremacist blogs and read what they have to say, but they're all they're all lined themselves with the same ideology. You don't see them talking trash about their women, except for those women that they deem that how do you say that been soiled by the hands of the black man. Now they'll talk about them, but you don't see them sitting around talking about, my woman came home from work and all she did was bitch, 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 and complain. That's not in there. That's not in their talking points. We dedicate some guys out here dedicate whole streams to that. Am I wrong?
Mm, no, no, not at all.
Hmm.
See that all the time.
All the time. Where,
and
go right ahead, Sergeant.
as they dedicate their time to that, that's time that could be spent talking about things the community actually needs, talking about actual solutions, talking about finding ways and or initiatives which would actually progress the community, or even just talking about something as simple as, we know that we have this Heineken deal going on, right? How about talking about the things that we need to do as a community to ensure that we make it through it all right? Like, I've seen Brother DeAndre do a stream or two on that. I've seen you and Shar mention that several times during the radio show,
Mm-hmm.
where these are things that we do need to be talking about as a community, because you have these stimuluses, you have these different things that are affecting us financially, where people are at home, and instead of dealing with the things that are affecting the community, we're going to sit around and bash black women today or bash this specific person tomorrow. Doesn't make sense to me.
Right. I'm wondering how many, I know I can ask this for myself. I know that my nieces that have younger children that are not able to go to school, they have a time set up for them. Just because you can't go to the school, that means that don't mean you're not going to hit these books today.
Right.
I mean, you can easily teach your child at home. As a matter of fact, in some communities, I've known several women that said, I'm never going to send my child to a public school because they're not going to teach them who we are.
Well, what's sad is that they teach the politicized version of who we are. They don't teach the real version of who we are.
Right.
They teach oh, you're supposed to be an underachiever because of the color of your skin. The expectation that is set upon you by Brother Cerulean mentioned this in several of his live streams, where the expectation set by not having as many black teachers as we should have. When you have a white teacher who looks at you and goes, "Hey, this kid's not going to be able to pass my class because this person's disadvantaged by the color of their skin, and
Right.
I'm not going to put any effort into this student."
Right. No child left behind, so I'll just pass him on. Meanwhile, by the time he gets 18, 19 years old, he's dumb as a damn rock.
Yeah.
But that's again, we were talking about that earlier. Some people say, "Well, I dropped out of high school." Going to school as a young person. That's one of the easiest things in life that you can do. That is your only responsibility sometimes, to get up, to brush your teeth, wash your ass, stand outside and wait for the school bus to come get you. Go to school, first period through seventh period, eat your lunch, come home, do your chores, and you start that all over again. How hard is that to do?
Well, some people have a track record of incessant failure.
Hmm.
I mean, if it starts off there, and it's not necessarily because they didn't have the capability to learn, or so for some people they just choose to fail. And if someone is choosing to fail and then would like to blame the world around them for their failure, I believe DeAndre refers to it as chronic ain't shitness.
Yeah, that he does.
He hates that.
he might not even be listening, but that just shint shivers up his spine just to hear that. But ladies and gentlemen, I want to keep this stream to about two hours, so we got about another 4 minutes or so before I shut it down. I want to thank you guys for joining in and sitting down and chatting with me. Those of you down in the chat room there, thank you so very much. Again, folks, we have to take ownership in our good and our bad. It is what it is. You have to understand that we as men, I'm speaking directly to the men, we as men, we are the leaders of our flock. And again, there's nothing wrong with having your woman's opinion. And if you live in your life as a man, you'll understand that that's something that should be valued, especially when you're in a relationship. You should never do anything that's going to harm your relationship or make it unpalatable for her. In a lot of circles, some people might call that as simping, but me personally, if I'm in a relationship, I want my castle to be as happy as it possibly can. And one way to achieve that is you have to keep your woman happy. You have to change it up from time to time. Sneak up behind her, grab her on the ass. Show up at her job with some flowers just for the hell of it. It's not simping. It's just called keeping your relationship fresh. It is what it is. Because if eventually, the whole saying goes, what you won't do, somebody else damn sure will. Closing thoughts on that, Shar and Shardra, any closing thoughts?
Thank you for having me on, and have a good evening.
Shardra?
I wanted to say thank you for having me on as well. And like you just said, these are things that it's your castle. Why would you tear down your own castle?
Absolutely. Why would you tear down your castle? Sometimes the worst thing that we could bring into our relationship and into our house is those naysayers, those that always find something wrong, always want to complain about this and complain about that. Folks, those people that you put around you like that, they'll stay around you forever. If you don't do something to change the life that you're living, you're just going to be like Shar said, one of those guys who believe that a woman hits the wall at 28. Well, I can tell you from my personally, man, give me a woman in her late 30s, early 40s. I'm good. If that's hitting the wall, all right, then so be it. But anyway, folks, make sure you're coming up this Wednesday. I'll plug the radio station here. Coming up this week, it'll be our year anniversary at the GSRN radio. So I would appreciate it. And I want to thank all you guys and invite all you guys to come celebrate with us throughout the week. Plenty of music. Of course, Shar and I will be on live on air on Wednesday at 8 p.m. with On the Beat. Of course, we'll talk about a few subjects and, current events and different things like that. And all welcome to come on in and take a listen to the music and listen to Shar and I chop it up. That's Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you check out Shar's. Shar, you tell them.
I will be having live streams every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Central. We pick a letter or a topic, and we problem solve. We give advice.
Hmm. And I got a shout out to one stream that I was listening to. I'm not sure what the last stream was that Cerulean Gray put down, but it has to do with finances. I think what was that stream about 2 days ago, Shar, if I'm not correct?
It was Wednesday night.
Wednesday
When,
nights.
yeah, he was going over the budget.
All right, so folks, if you're not doing anything after this stream here, I would suggest you go over to Cerulean Gray's page and check out that stream. Some great information there, folks. I mean, some financial information that a lot of people go out and pay for. So
Yeah.
check that out, folks. It's a really a great stream. It really is, really is. So with that, I'm going to end this. Again, thank everybody for tuning in. Again, we'll be back next Saturday, same bat time, same bat channel. If you got something that you want me to talk about, or if you have something that you want to topic or an issue, hit me up at my email, or leave me a message down on my page there, and we'll make sure we add it to the stream next week. With that, have a great day, folks. Be safe, and I hate to say it, but stay away from folks right now. That don't mean you're no good. The corona is out there.
All right. Stay safe.
Stay safe, folks. Have a good day.
Peace.